The nurse handed me the pen at 3:47 a.m., my wife bleeding in the delivery room, and I said the three words that destroyed everything. That's not mine. The fluorescent lights hummed above us like judgment. That blue Bic pen, I can still feel its weight, heavier than a gavel in my fingers. Sarah was hemorrhaging, they said. The doctor's mask couldn't hide his shock when I set the pen down on the metal tray, the click echoing off sterile walls. Sir, your wife needs medical care. Give it to her, but I'm not signing anything. The nurse's hand was shaking. 3 other nurses stood frozen by the incubator. The security guard by the door shifted his weight, hand moving to his radio. They all stared at me like I'd committed murder instead of simply refusing to commit fraud. The birth certificate lay there between us, those blank lines waiting for lies I wouldn't write. Mr. Davidson, the head nurse tried again, her voice carefully professional. The baby needs a legal guardian. Your wife is asking for you. The baby, not your baby. Even she knew. I looked through the glass partition at the newborn. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, full head of black hair, and there, visible even from 10 feet away, that purple birthmark spreading across his tiny shoulder like spilled wine. The baby had his eyes, just not mine. My phone vibrated. Sarah's mother, Barbara, was here. Of course she was. Probably broke every speed limit between Syracuse and Rochester General. I could hear her heels clicking down the hallway, that familiar sound of cavalry arriving too late. Michael! Barbara burst through the door, her coat still dusted with snow. What the hell are you doing? Sign the damn paper. Look at the birthmark, Barbara. She stopped mid-stride. Her eyes found the baby, then the mark. The color drained from her face like water from a sink. You knew. It wasn't a question. She stopped crying when she saw my face. If you've ever stood at a crossroads between what's legal and what's right, between what's expected and what's true, you understand this moment. The pen sitting there, the blank certificate, the bleeding woman who wore my ring but carried another man's child. Sir, we need to move your wife to surgery. The doctor's voice cut through the tension. She's lost a lot of blood. Then move her. The paperwork. Her medical insurance is in my name. Bill me. Treat her. But that, I pointed at the certificate, stays blank. The security guard stepped closer. Barbara grabbed my arm. Michael, please, think about what you're doing. Think about Tommy. Tommy, our 5-year-old. Sarah's son from before we married, but mine in every way that mattered. The boy who called me daddy and meant it. He was at home with the neighbor, probably still asleep, not knowing his world was about to shatter. I am thinking about Tommy. I'm thinking about what it means to raise him with truth or lies. The baby started crying, that thin, reedy newborn wail that usually breaks every heart in the room. The nurse picked him up, and I saw it clearly now. That birthmark wasn't just purple. It had a distinctive shape, like a crescent moon with a star beside it. I'd seen that exact mark before, on someone else. My hands weren't shaking anymore. Strange how clarity steadies you. 9 months ago, Sarah's company Christmas party. Her colleague Ryan, the one from accounting she said was just work friends. He'd worn a tank top at the hotel pool, that birthmark on his shoulder, identical shape, identical position. Genetic markers don't lie even when wives do. I need to make a call, I said. Mr. Davidson, visiting hours? I'm not a visitor. I'm the legal husband refusing to sign a fraudulent document. I'm calling my lawyer. Barbara's grip tightened. You're destroying this family. No. Sarah did that 9 months and 2 weeks ago. Her phone was still unlocked. I hadn't meant to look. Sarah's phone sat on the bedside table, still logged into her messages from when she'd been timing contractions. But there it was, the conversation thread with Ryan Work, dated back to last February. February 14th, specifically, while I was in Detroit on business. Happy Valentine's Day, baby. Last night was incredible. Michael, don't. Barbara tried to grab the phone. February 15th. When can we do that again? February 20th. I think I'm late. March 5th. It's positive. The messages painted a timeline clear as a calendar. While I was planning our vacation to Disney with Tommy, she was planning her deception. While I was painting the nursery soft yellow, she was texting Ryan about baby names. He asked 9 months and 2 weeks ago. The social worker arrived then, clipboard in hand. That practiced neutral expression they must teach in school. Mr. Davidson, I'm Jennifer from Family Services. I understand there's a situation. The situation is biological fraud, Jennifer. She glanced at the unsigned certificate. Sir, if you're married at the time of birth, state law presumes. I know what it presumes. I also know I have 30 days to contest paternity, starting now. The wedding ring sat there like evidence. Sarah had taken off her wedding ring before delivery. Standard procedure, they said. But now it sat on that bedside table like an artifact from another life. 4 carats, 2 years of savings. One massive lie. The baby needs a name, the nurse said softly. For medical records? Then use the mother's maiden name, Barrett, or better yet, I looked at Barbara. Ask her who the father is. She seems to know. Barbara's face crumbled. She's my daughter. And Tommy's my son, my actual son, in every way that matters. But this? I gestured at the newborn. This is someone else's responsibility. Her sister knew. She'd always known. Through the door, I saw Sarah's sister Lisa in the hallway. She wouldn't make eye contact, just stood there studying her shoes like they held the secrets of the universe. When our eyes finally met, she mouthed 2 words. I'm sorry. How long has Lisa known? Barbara didn't answer. How long? Since March. 8 months of family dinners. 8 months of baby shower planning. 8 months of everyone knowing except the fool paying for everything. The attending physician returned. Mr. Davidson, we need clarity here. The birth certificate. Dr. Morrison, I read his badge. If I sign that paper, I'm legally acknowledging paternity. That makes me financially responsible for 18 years. It affects custody of my actual son. It affects everything. So, no, I won't sign it just to make your paperwork easier. The child needs his biological father, who isn't me. 30 days. That's all I had to contest. The hospital administrator arrived at 5:15 a.m., looking like she'd been dragged from bed, which she probably had. Mr. Davidson, I'm Carol Winters. Perhaps we can discuss this privately? We walked to a consultation room. Beige walls, plastic chairs, a box of tissues on every surface, the furniture of difficult conversations. This is highly unusual, she began. So is paternity fraud. The hospital's position is covering liability. My position is not committing fraud. State law gives me 30 days to establish paternity. I'm exercising that right. Your wife could file for emergency custody. She could, from her hospital bed, while recovering from hemorrhaging, with her phone full of evidence of adultery. Carol Winters studied me. You've thought this through. I've had about 2 hours since recognizing that birthmark. 2 hours to realize my marriage is over, my family is destroyed, and everyone expects me to smile and sign my name to the lie. The law was not on my side. She pulled out a folder. Legal precedent in New York State. Married men are presumed fathers regardless of biology unless contested within 30 days. Even then, judges often rule in favor of maintaining status quo for the child's benefit. Then, I better get a good lawyer. Mr. Davidson. Her voice softened. Whatever happened between you and your wife, this baby didn't do anything wrong. You're right, he didn't. Which is why he deserves his real father's name on that certificate. His real father's financial support. His real father's presence in his life. And if the biological father doesn't step up, then that's between him, Sarah, and the state of New York, not me. The door opened. A different nurse, this one older, more senior. "Mrs. Davidson is out of surgery, stable. She's asking for you." "Is she conscious?" "Yes." "Then she can ask Ryan." The administrator's eyebrows rose. "You know who?" "Ryan Mitchell, accounting department at Brennan Industries, lives in Fairport, drives a blue Mazda, has a distinctive crescent-shaped birthmark on his left shoulder that's genetically identical to the one on that baby." "How do you—" "Because unlike everyone else in this room, I'm not pretending we don't all know exactly what happened here. No signature, no custody, just truth." I stood up. The clock on the wall showed 5:47 a.m. In 2 hours, Tommy would wake up. The neighbor would give him cereal, probably Fruit Loops, because she didn't know he was trying to eat healthier like his daddy. He'd ask where Mommy and I were. He'd want to know if his baby brother had arrived. His baby brother. The child I'd already bought a crib for, already picked a name for, already imagined teaching to throw a baseball like I was teaching Tommy. "I need to go home," I said. "My son needs me." "Which son?" Carol Winters asked. "The one who's actually mine." I walked out of that consultation room and down the hallway, past Lisa, still studying her shoes, past Barbara, now on her phone, probably calling Sarah's father, past the nursery window where that baby lay in his plastic bassinet, innocent of everything except existing. The security guard moved to block my path. "Sir, I can't let you leave with what? I'm not taking anything that belongs to me. That's actually the entire point." He stepped aside. The hospital's automatic doors opened to pre-dawn darkness. Snow was falling, light and steady, covering the parking lot in fresh white. My car sat where I'd abandoned it hours earlier, parked crooked in my panic to get Sarah inside when her water broke. I sat in the driver's seat and finally let myself feel it. The weight of what just happened. What was still happening? What would happen next? My phone buzzed. 17 missed calls. The family group chat was exploding. Lisa had broken her silence. "Mike knows everything." Then a text from an unknown number. "This is Ryan. We need to talk." We did need to talk, but not at 6 a.m. in a hospital parking lot, with my world in pieces around me. I drove home through empty streets, each red light a moment to breathe. The radio played some morning show hosts laughing about celebrity gossip, normal people having normal mornings, while mine had become evidence in a future court case. Tommy was still asleep when I got home. I stood in his doorway watching him breathe, his dinosaur nightlight casting green shadows on the wall. 5 years old. Sarah's biological son, but mine by choice. Mine by every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every "I love you, Daddy" that actually meant something. Whatever happened next, Tommy would be okay. I'd make sure of it, even if it meant standing alone against everyone who said signing that paper was the right thing to do. The pen was still in my pocket, that blue hospital Bic. I pulled it out and set it on my dresser. Some signatures define you. Some refusals define you more. I knew who it was before I opened it. Ryan Mitchell stood on my porch, still wearing his hospital scrubs. St. Mary's Hospital, not Rochester General where Sarah delivered. He'd been working all night at a different hospital while his biological child was being born. "Mike, just don't. Can I come in? My son is sleeping upstairs." "About that, Tommy, I'm talking about Tommy, the only son I have in this house." He walked in wearing scrubs from the same hospital. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. 2 medical professionals in the family, Sarah, a pediatric nurse, and Ryan, an X-ray technician. Both trained to help people, both trained in ethics, both apparently failed that particular course. "Coffee," I offered, not from kindness, from needing something to do with my hands that wasn't punching him. "Mike, I want to sign the birth certificate." "Great. Head to Rochester General, room 308. Ask for Carol Winters in administration." "I can't." The coffee mug stopped halfway to the counter. "Excuse me?" I'm married. My wife doesn't know. If I sign that certificate, your wife doesn't know you've been sleeping with my wife for 9 months. It wasn't 9 months. It was complicated. February 14th through November 15th seems pretty straightforward to me. He sat down at my kitchen table, the same table where Sarah and I had planned our future, where Tommy did his homework, where we'd assembled the breast pump just last week. How did you know about the birthmark? Your company pool party. Last year. You really should keep your shirt on around colleagues' spouses. That birthmark runs in my family. My dad has it. My grandfather had it. And now your son has it. He wanted to sign, but legally couldn't. Mike, I make $38,000 a year. Lisa makes $42,000. We have 2 kids already. If I sign that paper, if I claim paternity, child support alone would bankrupt us. Lisa would leave me. I'd lose my kids. You mean you'd face consequences? I'm not asking you to... To what? Commit fraud so you can keep your marriage while destroying mine? To pay for your biological child for 18 years while you play happy family? I'll pay you back, privately. Cash. The morning light caught the wedding ring he was still wearing. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Get out, Mike. Get out before my son wakes up and sees you. Before I have to explain why Mommy's work friend is in our kitchen at 7 in the morning, looking guilty. He stood up. I'm sorry. No, you're scared. There's a difference. After he left, I heard Tommy stirring upstairs, little feet on hardwood floors, the toilet flushing, then faster feet running toward my room. Daddy! Daddy! Is the baby here? He jumped on my bed, all bedhead and excitement, 5 years old and pure joy in dinosaur pajamas. Mommy's at the hospital, buddy. Can we visit? I made a drawing. Daddy, why is Mommy crying about signatures? He'd been working on it all week at school, pulled it from his backpack like treasure, there in crayon, 4 figures holding hands. Mommy, Daddy, Tommy, and baby. He'd drawn us all the same height except the baby, who was tiny and smiling. Above us, he'd written in that careful kindergarten script, My family. It's beautiful, buddy. The baby's wearing green because we don't know if it's a brother or sister yet. But I hope it's a brother. Sisters are gross. Jacob's sister eats boogers. Tommy, when can we see Mommy? I want to give her the picture. The pure innocence of it broke something in me. This little boy who had already lost one father, his biological dad, who'd walked away before he was born, now standing on the edge of losing another family. We'll see Mommy soon. But, Tommy, there's something we need to talk about. Is Mommy okay? Mommy's gonna be fine, but things are complicated right now. He tilted his head, that gesture that was pure Sarah. What's complicated mean? How do you explain adult destruction to a 5-year-old? How do you tell him that the baby brother he's been waiting for isn't actually his brother? That daddy isn't the baby's daddy? That his whole world is about to change because adults couldn't keep their promises? It means confusing, like a really hard puzzle. I'm good at puzzles. I know you are, buddy. I know. My phone rang. Sarah's father, Robert. I let it go to voicemail. Then Barbara called. Then Lisa. Then numbers I didn't recognize. Daddy, your phone is being really loud. You're right. Let's have breakfast. I made him Fruit Loops. So much for healthy eating. He chattered about school, about his friend Jacob, about the class hamster named Mr. Whiskers. Normal 5-year-old morning conversation, while my phone lit up with crisis after crisis. Then a text from Sarah. Please come, I need you. After 9 months of lies, she needed me. Daddy, why is Mommy crying about signatures? I looked up from my phone. What? Grandma Barbara called yesterday when you were at work. She was talking to Aunt Lisa. She said Mommy might cry about signatures, but it would be okay. They'd been preparing. They'd all been preparing for this moment, knowing I might find out, creating their strategies for damage control. Everyone except me knew this was coming. Sometimes adults cry about paperwork, buddy. It's boring adult stuff. Like taxes? Exactly like taxes. He seemed satisfied with that answer, returning to his cereal. But I wasn't satisfied with anything anymore. My phone rang again. This time, a number I recognized from last night. Carol Winters from the hospital. Mr. Davidson, I'm calling to inform you that we've had a development. What kind of development? Someone has come forward claiming to be the biological father. Ryan Mitchell. You know him? He was just in my kitchen trying to bribe me. Silence. Then, Mr. Davidson, he's requesting a DNA test. Good, so am I. It's not that simple. His request complicates things. The mother has to consent to testing the baby. And if she doesn't, then we wait for a court order, which could take weeks. Probability of paternity, 0%. Ms. Winters, I want to be very clear. I will not sign anything until there's a DNA test. If that means the birth certificate sits blank for weeks, so be it. The baby needs insurance coverage. The baby is covered under Sarah's insurance for 30 days after birth, regardless of paperwork. I know because I read the policy when we thought we were having our child. Mr. Davidson, I'll be there in an hour with my lawyer. We can discuss this further then. I hung up and looked at Tommy, who was now drawing another picture at the table. This one had what looked like a hospital with stick figures in the windows. Buddy, you're going to stay with Mrs. Henderson next door for a while, okay? But I want to see Mommy and the baby! Soon, I promise. That was a lie. I had no idea when soon would be, or what it would look like when it arrived. I dropped Tommy at the neighbor's, his drawing clutched in his hand. Mrs. Henderson, 67 and widowed, took one look at my face and asked no questions. Just took Tommy's hand and offered him cookies. My lawyer met me at the hospital entrance. David Kim, recommended by 3 divorced fathers in my company. He specialized in fathers' rights, which apparently I needed to specialize in now too. Don't sign anything, he said immediately. Don't agree to anything. Don't even hold the baby. I wasn't planning to. Holding establishes emotional bonds that judges consider. We need clean lines here. Clean lines? As if anything about this was clean. We walked through those hospital hallways again. Different shift, different nurses, same looks of judgment. The news had spread. I was the man who wouldn't sign his wife's birth certificate. Sarah was sitting up in bed when we arrived, pale, exhausted, but alert. The baby lay in a bassinet beside her. Ryan was nowhere to be seen, but his presence lingered like cologne. Michael, her voice was small, please, where's Ryan? He left. After requesting a DNA test? Her face crumbled. How could you? How could I? That's really your question here? David stepped forward. Mrs. Davidson, I'm David Kim, representing Mr. Davidson. We need to discuss the paternity issue. There's no issue. We're married. Being married doesn't change biology, Mrs. Davidson. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. And I saw it. She'd never expected me to find out. In her mind, that birthmark was just a birthmark. The timeline was close enough. The deception was perfect enough. I want you to sign the papers, Michael. I want a DNA test. That's not necessary. Then Ryan's request should be easy to deny. 0% probability of paternity. David pulled out his tablet. Mrs. Davidson, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you consent to DNA testing now. The hard way is we petition the court, submit the text messages between you and Mr. Mitchell as evidence, and make this very public. You wouldn't. I pulled out Sarah's phone, which I'd brought with me. February 14th. Can't wait to feel you inside me again. February 28th. I think about you when I'm with him. March 15th. The baby kicked today. Our baby. Stop. Our baby Sarah. You called it our baby with him. The baby started crying. Sarah reached for him, and I saw her wince. She was still in pain from the delivery, still bleeding, Still my wife, technically. Your insurance card, Mr. Davidson? A financial administrator had appeared with paperwork. For Sarah's care, not the baby's. Sir, the baby's biological father can provide his insurance card. Your signature makes you liable regardless of biology. David leaned over. If you sign anything regarding that child's care, you're accepting financial responsibility. Even just insurance usage can be seen as acknowledgement of paternity. I'm aware. The administrator looked flustered. But the baby needs medical care. Then Bill Ryan Mitchell, or Jane Doe, or the state of New York, but not me. Sarah started crying. Not the pretty tears of movies, but raw, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. The baby cried louder, responding to his mother's distress. "You're destroying us," she managed between sobs. "No, you destroyed us 9 months ago. I'm just refusing to subsidize the destruction." A commotion in the hallway. Barbara had arrived with Robert, Sarah's father. He was a big man, 6'3", former construction worker. He filled the doorway like a threat. "You son of a bitch," David stepped between us. "Sir, I need you to step back." "You're going to let my daughter suffer? Let that innocent baby suffer? Your daughter made choices. That baby has a father. Neither of those facts are my responsibility." This wasn't her first time. Barbara grabbed Robert's arm. "Don't! Just don't!" "What do you mean, don't?" He looked at his wife. "You're defending him?" "I'm not defending anyone. I'm just tired." She sat down heavily in the visitor's chair. Suddenly, she looked every one of her 62 years. "Tell him," I said. "Tell him what you told me this morning." "Barbara?" Robert's voice changed. "What's he talking about?" "Nothing. He's upset." "Tell him about Jeremy." Sarah went rigid in the bed. "Mom, no." "Who's Jeremy?" Robert asked. Barbara closed her eyes. "Sarah's first husband." "What about him?" "The reason they divorced, it wasn't what we told you." The room went silent except for the baby's crying and the beeping of machines. "Barbara, what are you saying?" "She did this before, with Jeremy, got pregnant by someone else, tried to pass it off as his." "Mom!" Sarah's voice was sharp. "He found out when the baby was 6 months old. Demanded a test. It wasn't his." Robert sank into a chair. Where is that child? With its biological father, somewhere in California now." This wasn't her first time. The patterns we refuse to see until they're destroying us. The habits we excuse as mistakes until they become character. "How many times, Sarah?" I asked. "How many men have you done this to?" She wouldn't answer. "Is Tommy even his biological father's son? Or was there another man before that one too?" "Don't you dare bring Tommy into this. You brought him into this. You made him love the idea of a baby brother who isn't even his brother." David touched my arm. "We should go. We've made our point." But I wasn't done. Not yet. "I want the DNA test done today. Consent or don't consent, but make your choice. Because every day you delay is another day that baby doesn't have his father's name on his birth certificate. And despite what you think of me right now, I'm not the one hurting him. You are." We left them there, Sarah crying, Barbara confessing, Robert processing, and that baby still wailing for comfort none of them could properly give. In the elevator, David said quietly, "That was brutal." That was honest. Sometimes they're the same thing. Not the father, not the fool, just the man who stood up. We passed the nursery on the way out. All those babies behind glass, some with proud fathers taking photos, some with names already chosen, futures already planned, and one with a blank birth certificate because his mother thought she could rewrite biology with deception. "What happens now?" I asked David. "Now we wait. Either she consents to the test or we file with the court. Either way, you're doing the right thing." "Am I? Because everyone seems to think I'm a monster." "Everyone thought the earth was flat once too. Didn't make them right. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number, this time a woman's voice when I answered. Is this Michael Davidson? Who's asking? My name is Lisa Mitchell, Ryan's wife. The air left my lungs. I think we should talk. She had recordings, all of them. Lisa Mitchell wanted to meet at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground, she called it. As if anywhere could be neutral when your spouse's infidelity has produced a living, breathing consequence. I sat across from her at 2 p.m., both of us looking like survivors of the same earthquake. She was smaller than I'd expected, mid-30s, dark circles under her eyes that matched mine. I've known for 3 months, she started without preamble. Ryan doesn't know I know. How? She pulled out her phone. He synced his messages to our family iPad. Forgot to turn it off. My 8-year-old daughter found them while playing games. Jesus. She asked me what sexy meant and why Daddy was calling someone else baby. The coffee shop hummed around us. Normal people having normal Tuesday afternoons, while we sat comparing evidence of our spouse's betrayal. I have everything, Lisa continued. Screenshots, recordings of phone calls, credit card statements showing hotel rooms, Valentine's Day dinner at Romano's while I was home with the kids, thinking he was working overtime. Why didn't you confront him? I was gathering evidence, waiting for the right lawyer, planning my exit. She laughed bitterly. Then you refused to sign that birth certificate and suddenly my timeline got accelerated. She had recordings, all of them. She pushed a flash drive across the table. 11 recordings. Ryan calling Sarah from our house while I pretended to be asleep. He actually talked about baby names, in our bedroom, while I was 3 feet away. What do you want from me? Nothing? I want to give you something. Ammunition. Because if you cave, if you sign that certificate, Ryan gets away with it. No consequences, no responsibility, just another secret to keep. And you? I'm filing for divorce tomorrow, but first, I wanted you to hear something specific. She pulled out earbuds, handed me one. The recording was crystal clear. Ryan's voice? If Mike signs it, we're golden. You stay married, I stay married, the kid gets a father with money. Sarah's voice. But what if he doesn't? Then we deny everything. You say the kid is his, I disappear, and eventually he'll cave. Men always do when kids are involved. You sound sure. Lisa would never leave me. She needs my income. And Mike, he loves that boy Tommy too much to break up the family. He'll sign. The timestamp showed 3 days ago. While I was refusing to sign at the hospital, they were still plotting. There's more, Lisa said, but that's the worst of it, the conspiracy. You have one option they don't expect. David Kim's law office occupied the top floor of a building overlooking the Genesee River. His walls were covered with degrees, certifications, and photos of fathers with children. His success stories, apparently. Paternity fraud, he said, pulling out a thick folder, is more common than people think. 1 in 25 fathers is raising another man's biological child unknowingly. I'm not unknowing anymore, which is why you have options. Option 1, we file immediately for divorce and contestation of paternity, aggressive but effective. Option 2, we wait for Sarah to make a move. She needs that birth certificate signed for benefits. Every day she delays costs her. And option 3, he smiled, the one they don't expect. We go public. Public? Hospital board meeting is Thursday. Open comment period. You stand up and tell your story. The hospital pressuring you to sign, the administrator trying to force your hand, the system that expects defrauded men to just accept it. That seems nuclear, yes, but sometimes nuclear is necessary. I have a 5-year-old son to think about. Exactly. And what lesson does he learn if you sign? That lies are acceptable if they're convenient. You have one option they don't expect. I thought about Tommy's drawing, his excitement about a brother, his trust that adults tell the truth. Set up the meeting. David nodded. There's something else. Lisa Mitchell called me. She wants to coordinate. Coordinate what? A joint response. Two betrayed spouses standing together. It's powerful. And the kids? That's the leverage. Ryan can't afford child support for 3 kids on his salary. Sarah can't afford a baby alone. They need you to cave. So we don't cave. We don't cave. Wednesday arrived with Tommy asking questions I couldn't answer. When was Mommy coming home? When could he meet his brother? Why was Grandma Barbara crying on the phone? I picked him up from school, his backpack full of projects and permission slips for things that now seemed impossibly distant. Field trip to the zoo next month, parent-teacher conferences, the normal rhythm of elementary school life. Daddy, Mrs. Johnson says babies look like their parents. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. That's often true, buddy. So the baby will look like you and Mommy? Genetics are complicated. What's genetics? It's like recipes. Everyone gets different ingredients mixed together. Like chocolate chip cookies? Exactly like cookies. He seemed satisfied, but I wasn't. How many more half-truths would I have to tell before this was over? That evening, Barbara called. Michael, please, come see her. She's being discharged tomorrow with nowhere to go. She has a house. Your house. My name's on the deed. Her name's on a lie. Where will she go? That's between her and Ryan. She had recordings, all of them. But Lisa Mitchell had given me more than recordings. She'd given me perspective. While I was feeling guilty about protecting myself, Sarah and Ryan were still scheming, still planning, still assuming I'd fold. Thursday's hospital board meeting was packed. Apparently word had spread. A father refusing to sign a birth certificate was rare enough. One willing to go public was unheard of. I sat in the front row with David on one side and Lisa Mitchell on the other. She'd brought her own lawyer. Ryan was nowhere to be seen, but Sarah was there, in a wheelchair, Barbara pushing her. The baby was presumably in the nursery. The board went through regular business first, budget approvals, staff commendations, the mundane machinery of hospital administration, then public comment period. I stood up. My name is Michael Davidson. 6 days ago, I refused to sign a birth certificate in this hospital. The room went silent. The child my wife delivered is not mine. I know this because of a distinctive genetic birthmark that matches her colleague, Ryan Mitchell, with whom she's been having an affair for 9 months. Board members shifted uncomfortably. But this isn't about infidelity. This is about the systematic expectation that defrauded men should accept financial and legal responsibility for children that aren't theirs. This hospital's administrator, Carol Winters, told me to sign anyway, for the child's sake, for convenience, for everyone's comfort except mine. This became bigger than just my signature. This same hospital allowed Ryan Mitchell to request a DNA test, while pressuring me to sign before that test could be completed. This same hospital has my wife's insurance information, but refuses to process it without my signature on a fraudulent document. Carol Winters was in the back, her face carefully neutral. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm asking for policy change. No man should be coerced into signing a birth certificate under duress. No hospital should facilitate paternity fraud for administrative convenience. I sat down. Lisa stood up. My name is Lisa Mitchell. The biological father of that baby is my husband, Ryan. While Mr. Davidson was painting a nursery, my husband was sleeping with his wife. While I was raising our 2 children, my husband was creating a third with someone else's spouse. Her voice was steady, controlled. I have recordings of my husband and Mrs. Davidson planning to defraud Mr. Davidson, planning to use his love for his stepson as leverage, planning to avoid responsibility while destroying 2 families. She held up the flash drive. 11 recordings, clear conspiracy. And yet, this hospital wants Mr. Davidson to enable that conspiracy by signing his name. The board president cleared his throat. This is a complex personal matter. No, Lisa interrupted. This is a policy matter. How many men sign birth certificates in this hospital under pressure? How many never find out the truth? How many children grow up with medical histories that aren't theirs because hospitals prioritize paperwork over truth? This became bigger than just my signature. Media had arrived, someone had called them, cameras in the back, reporters taking notes. The story was too unusual to ignore. Two betrayed spouses united against the system that expected them to accept betrayal quietly. Sarah tried to leave, but the wheelchair got caught in the crowd. She was trapped, forced to listen to the consequences of her choices play out in public. After the meeting, reporters surrounded us. David fielded most of their questions with practiced ease, but one got through to me. "Mr. Davidson, what about the innocent child in all this?" "That innocent child deserves truth from day one. An accurate medical history, his biological father's name, reality, not a convenient fiction." "But aren't you punishing the baby?" "I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just refusing to be punished for someone else's choices." The story aired that night. Local news picked it up, then regional. By Friday morning, it was trending on social media. Emericius Dice birth certificate standoff. Sarah called from her sister's house. "How could you do this to us?" "How could you do this to us" is the actual question. "Tommy's being teased at school." "Then maybe you should have thought about Tommy before you slept with Ryan." "I want to come home. I want a divorce." Silence. Then, "If you don't sign that certificate, I'll take Tommy. Courts favor mothers." Courts favor truth when presented with evidence. 11 recordings of conspiracy, 9 months of text messages, a pattern of paternity fraud with your first husband. You wouldn't. I would and I will. Tommy stays with me. I chose my son, my actual son. The ultimatum came Friday afternoon through her lawyer. Sign the birth certificate, and she'd agree to an amicable divorce with shared custody of Tommy. Refuse, and she'd fight for full custody of both children, claiming I'd abandoned the baby and was an unfit father. David laughed when he read it. "She has no leverage, zero. She's admitted adultery in text. She's on recording conspiring to commit fraud. She has a history of this behavior. No judge in New York would give her full custody." But she could make it ugly. It's already ugly. The question is whether you want clean ugly or messy ugly. Tommy was at school. In 3 hours, I'd need to pick him up, help with homework, make dinner, maintain the illusion of normalcy while his mother played victim to anyone who'd listen. "What's best for Tommy?" I asked. "Truth, stability. A father who shows him that integrity matters, even when it costs everything." "It is costing everything." "No, it's costing what was already lost. Sarah cost you everything. You're just refusing to pay for her choices." I chose my son, my actual son. That night, I sat Tommy down for the conversation I'd been dreading. "Buddy, we need to talk about Mommy and the baby. Is the baby okay?" "The baby's fine, but remember when I said genetics were like recipes? With different ingredients?" "Right. Well, the baby got ingredients from Mommy and from someone else, not from Daddy." His 5-year-old face scrunched in concentration. "So, it's not my brother?" "It's complicated. The baby is Mommy's but not Daddy's. Like how I'm Mommy's and my first Daddy's, but you're my real daddy." The clarity of children. "Exactly like that. So the baby needs to find his real daddy?" "Yes. And then he'll be loved like you love me?" My throat closed. "That's the plan, buddy." "Okay, can we have pizza for dinner?" Just like that. Children adapt to truth far easier than adults do. Saturday brought unexpected support. Fathers' rights groups reached out. Men who'd been through similar situations. Some who'd signed and regretted it. Others who'd fought and won. One message stood out. "I raised another man's child for 10 years before finding out. I love that kid, but I'll never forgive the lie. You're doing the right thing." Lisa Mitchell filed for divorce that day. Ryan was served at work. He called me, panicking. "Mike, You have to stop this. Stop what? The consequences of your actions? I'll lose everything. You should have thought of that 9 months ago. The baby needs his biological father to step up. That's you. I can't afford. Then you shouldn't have created a life you couldn't support. He hung up. 10 minutes later, Sarah texted, Ryan abandoned us. Are you happy now? No, I wasn't happy. I was relieved. The masks were finally off. The judge made an exception. Emergency hearing, Monday morning. Judge Patricia Thornton, known for being tough but fair. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected, more office than theater. Sarah was there with Barbara. Ryan came with Lisa. Their lawyers, my lawyer, the court reporter. And somehow, it all came down to signatures on paper. This is highly unusual, Judge Thornton began. A birth certificate unsigned for 10 days. Your Honor, Sarah's lawyer started, your client's husband is obligated to nothing regarding a child that isn't his, David interrupted. We have DNA results. The results had come in that morning. Rush job, but legal. Ryan Mitchell, 99.97% probability of paternity. Michael Davidson, 0% probability. Your Honor, David continued, we also have evidence of conspiracy to commit paternity fraud. He played one recording, just one. Ryan and Sarah planning their deception, laughing about how I'd never know. Judge Thornton's face hardened. Mrs. Davidson, is this your voice? Yes. Mr. Mitchell, is this yours? Yes, Your Honor. Then we're done here. Mr. Mitchell, you will sign the birth certificate. Mrs. Davidson, you will consent to expedited divorce proceedings. Mr. Davidson maintains full custody of the minor child Tommy pending final divorce decree. Your Honor, Sarah's lawyer tried. Counselor, your client conspired to commit fraud. She's lucky Mr. Davidson isn't pressing criminal charges. No regrets, no looking back, just forward. Sarah started crying. Not performative tears, but real grief. The life she'd planned, me supporting her and the baby, and while Ryan remained her secret, was officially over. Furthermore, Judge Thornton continued, Mr. Mitchell, you will pay child support as determined by New York State guidelines. Mrs. Davidson, you have 30 days to vacate the marital home. Where will I go? Sarah asked. That's not this court's concern. You made adult choices. Face adult consequences. Ryan signed the birth certificate right there in court. His hand shook, but he signed. The baby finally had his biological father's name. The truth, documented and legal. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt something I hadn't expected. Sadness. Not regret, but sadness for what could have been. The family we'd planned. The future we'd imagined. All of it sacrificed for 9 months of deception. Tommy was waiting at school. No idea his whole world had just been legally restructured. When I picked him up, he ran to me like always. Backpack bouncing, smile wide. Daddy, we learned about butterflies today. Tell me everything. And he did. The whole drive home, chattering about metamorphosis and chrysalises and wings. Transformation, change, becoming what you were meant to be. No regrets, no looking back, just forward. 6 months later. The apartment isn't as big as the house, but it's ours, Tommy and me. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen just big enough for pancake Saturdays and homework at the dinner table. Tommy's adjusted better than anyone expected. Kids are resilient when you give them truth and stability. He sees Sarah every other weekend, and she's trying to be a better mother. The baby, Samuel she named him, is usually there too. Tommy calls him Mommy's baby. With no confusion or resentment. Ryan pays child support, barely. He and Lisa divorced after a brutal 3-month battle. She got the house, the kids, and most of their savings. He got Samuel on weekends in a efficiency apartment near his work. The birth certificate sits in Sarah's filing cabinet now, properly signed by the actual father. But I kept something. That blue hospital pen. It sits in my desk drawer, a reminder that sometimes the most important signatures are the ones you refuse to make. "Dad!" Tommy calls from his room. "Can you help with my reading?" He calls me Dad now, not Daddy. He's 6, growing up fast, losing teeth and gaining wisdom. "Coming, buddy." His teacher sent home a note last week. Tommy had written an essay about heroes for President's Day. Instead of choosing Washington or Lincoln, he wrote about me. My dad is my hero because he tells the truth, even when it's hard. The teacher added a sticky note. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." The certificate was never signed and never needed to be. I'm looking at it now, the essay, framed on my wall next to Tommy's old drawing of our family. The one he made before everything fell apart. 4 figures holding hands. Except now I see it differently. It was never about the number of people in the picture. It was about the hands holding tight. Tommy and I are building something new. Not the family I'd planned, but the family we chose. Every bedtime story, every homework session, every Saturday morning pancake. We're writing our own certificate of belonging. No signature required. Lisa Mitchell and I have coffee sometimes. Not romantic, just 2 people who understand each other's journey. She's doing well. Her kids are thriving. She sent me a message last week. No regrets. No regrets here either. If you've ever faced a moment where everyone expected you to accept a lie to keep the peace, you know the weight of that blue pen. You know the cost of truth and the price of deception. You know that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to sign your name to someone else's fiction. Some papers define you, others you define by refusing to sign them. Tommy's reading out loud now, sounding out difficult words with determination. Metamorphosis, he says carefully. Metamorphosis. That's when something changes into what it's supposed to be, right, Dad? That's exactly right, buddy. Like us? I look at my son, not by blood, but by choice, not by birth, but by love, and smile. Exactly like us. The certificate was never signed, and never needed to be. Outside our window, Rochester sprawls under winter sky. Somewhere out there, Sarah is raising Samuel with weekend help from Ryan. Somewhere, Barbara is learning to accept the daughter she raised. Somewhere, other men are holding pens over birth certificates, pressure mounting, wondering if love means accepting lies. It doesn't. Love means truth, even when it shatters everything. Love means protecting the innocent, including yourself. Love means teaching your son that integrity isn't negotiable, that family isn't just biology, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is put down the pen and walk away. "Dad," Tommy asks, "are you happy?" I close the book, pull him close. He smells like juice boxes and playground dust and everything good in this world. "Yeah, buddy, I'm happy." And for the first time since that night in the delivery room, it's true. Some signatures change your life. Some refusals save it. What would you have done? Would you have signed to keep the peace or stood your ground for truth? If you've faced your own blue pen moment, biological, emotional, or metaphorical, I'd love to hear your story. Sometimes the greatest courage comes from connecting with others who chose truth over comfort. Share your story below. We're all writing our own certificates of belonging, one honest moment at a time, because in the end, that's what this was really about. Not just a birth certificate, or a betrayal, or a baby who wasn't mine. It was about the moment you realize that signing your name to a lie doesn't make it true. It just makes you complicit. And I refuse to be complicit. Tommy's fallen asleep against my shoulder now. The book's still open to a picture of a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. Transformed, changed. Exactly what it was meant to be. Just like us.